Hello.
Did it tell you recordings in process?
Yes, it is.
All right. Hello, welcome back to our channel for our final video. I'm Kel, and obviously this is Edis.
And
Today we're going to be speaking in English, kind of just talking about what we've learned from this semester and breaking down what worked and what didn't work. Yeah, so personally for me, I thought it was a very interesting experience. Just the thing that I found most fulfilling was kind of like crafting an argument for why sports is so connected to culture. And that was something that I had to do each week, every 4 weeks for our presentations that we had in our class together. And that was just kind of fun to bring discussions to the class and talk with different people. Also, if I sound weird right now, I am a little bit stuffed up, so I apologize about that. But yeah, that's something I really enjoyed. Edis, what do you think your favorite part of this semester was, or in this class?
I just generally like the idea that we are doing something that is so apparently obviously not academic.
Yeah.
And then we turn it in something very academic in a sense that we are trying to approach it from different perspectives, try to provide different arguments, and build a new platform for learning, for education, for to spark the interest, right? So it goes beyond just sports and culture and words and Norway and Norwegian, and it goes all the way to the fundamentals of why we learn and how we learn and what engages us in anything really. So it's just interesting to see the dynamic of starting with a common interest of me and Cal to a funky idea of let's do this, something that would be maybe easy, and then we turns out that it's not as easy, and it turns out that we didn't do the initial idea of what we wanted to do, but we sort of took it and went more and beyond. And I think the way Cal presented these arguments and engaged the audience who is not necessarily a football fan, I think that was amazing. I think that is the beauty of this sort of discussion and debate in class. And I do want to bring it back to you, Cal, and I want to ask you, for our audience, what is your favorite argument that football connects, and it's more than just a sport, and it connects to a culture, and why is it really that important?
Yeah, well, kind of what I was talking about, something that I really liked to discuss with the class is the platform that athletes are given. Because for an hour, 2 hours, they're given sole attention from plenty of different people, and that can be used constructively in many different ways. So something that we were talking about was the protests of the Ukrainian war that are going on right now. You see that with Man City standing with one of their players who's Ukrainian, Zinchenko. But that can also be related to the Black Lives Matter protests in the NBA bubble during their COVID season. And I think that was just very interesting to talk about the platforms that athletes are given and how they can use them constructively and to what extent they should be able to use them. Because I personally believe that it's their platform. They should be able to do what they want with it. But there's also a possibility for them to spread information that's not necessarily so helpful. And something that we kind of talked about was my example was Joe Rogan and kind of spreading misinformation about the pandemic and vaccines and stuff. So I just think that's like a very broad topic that I didn't think I could go so in depth into. I thought I could maybe squeeze out like one or two questions from it, and then it just kind of kept flowing. And that was kind of my favorite discussion to have with the class. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I also want to bring it back to I kind of tell the story of how this kind of got started, because I think it was funny how you described it as not really necessarily like an academic thing that we were trying to do. I don't know if you want to tell the story or should I, but I think it was just funny how we were just walking back from class one day. We're like, oh, how can we play FIFA for class? How could we do this? I think that was great to just get the ball rolling, and then we started making an argument for it, and we're like, okay, this may actually be possible, huh? And it's just such a funny thing, because I mean, we were just joking completely at first, and just after we started to break it down a little bit more and get a little bit more serious about it, it definitely provided uh more work than we were initially planning on doing, but it was really good and really rewarding experience, I think.
I think part of this is the rewarding experience is that you get to do it yourself, and you get to sort of dictate the tempo and the pace and the depth, and what what was rewarding for me is that this is something that I'm interested in, and that you and I share this interest. And it kind of comes back to the idea that the more you're interested in something, the easier you will find everything to do around it.
Yeah.
And there wasn't necessarily, we made our own requirements and deadlines, and um, that made it a bit more sort of friendly. I never felt pressure of doing something and being like, oh, I have a deadline. And it didn't necessarily feel like a school class. But at the same time, I probably learned more than I would have in some class that was called History of Football in Northern Norway, or like Northern Europe. And I think that is so interesting that with without necessarily a structure, but some structure given through like supervision, there is so much potential to learn. And there is so much potential to learn from someone else's experience. And that's why I think these sort of materials that we created can be very useful for someone to create their own experience, but use our mistakes and successes as a basis to build upon it, and then shape their own direction of where they want to go and how they want to do it. And I think this is beyond just the scope of Norwegian or sports and culture. This is direction where education should be going.
Yeah.
To have a personalized, very personalized interest, topics, and areas, and have a loose structure that will allow you to build upon your interest in the ways you want to build upon it, right? And of course, I know it's not possible in all areas. You can't have a favorite number in math, and I mean, this is just exaggeration, but
Yeah.
the freedom to build upon the interest, I think that is something that needs to be emphasized in this sort of independent study that we did.
Yeah.
And we talked about it, and with Marin, and we said we should have this as a requirement for a major.
Yeah.
Because this is definitely something exciting, new, and it's difficult. It's not easy.
It's extremely rewarding too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you bring up like a really great point about having your own requirements, putting yourself to task, really, because nobody gave us anything, nobody told us to do anything, but we had to make something that we felt was of value, and we put good work into, to make sure that that everything went smoothly. And there's a real beauty and a risk to doing your own research, you know. I think it can be really rewarding, and you can gain a lot of knowledge, and you can go into the subject as much as you want to. And that even helps when you're very interested in the subject. That's what was so great about this, is because we had this mutual interest and we could just go as crazy as we wanted into exploring different ideas about it. But you also have to be cautious, because you have to find the credible sources, and make sure you're making an argument based off of facts, and not providing your own assumptions to things. So I think that's a really great part of what we've been doing this semester. Did you have something you want to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you say was the worst part of this semester?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna kind of get into. I think my biggest regret from this class is that we weren't actually able to do the FIFA thing. We weren't able to do the PlayStations didn't match up. I didn't have a gold membership or something like that, and we weren't able to connect on there, because I think that would have been a wonderful place to like even be able to practice our Norwegian and just like talk back and forth and just have a good time and just mess around a little bit. I think that would have laid a little bit of pressure off, and maybe added a newer element to this, because now it's a little bit more like history based kind of thing that we kind of ran into. But I think that's the thing that I wanted to do more of, was just, talk with you, speak in Norwegian, and just bounce some ideas off each other and just have a good time. I think that's what I miss the most.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more. I think the part of sort of freestyling, free loosing Norwegian without necessarily information and facts that you want to present, and then in combination with video games, and using that as a platform for education and transforming knowledge and sharing experiences. I think that is something that we missed on, and that is something that we couldn't necessarily do. Or perhaps we could have, but we are digitally less experienced than someone who might have done that. But at the same time, it was also, this wasn't our only project, and we couldn't necessarily devote as much time and perhaps maybe even money towards all of that, which is unfortunate. But it also this reflection video provides sort of support for someone who wants to do it, and gives idea why this would be important. And we do recognize the importance of it, and we took all of that in consideration when creating all these other materials. And that's why I think, we missed on it, but we also were aware that we're missing on it. So we didn't really miss it, we just didn't
picked up some slack in other areas.
Yes, we didn't catch the train, we just we knew we went by it, but
I think that's perfect. Shall we say bye to the people, Edis?
Yes, I think we should leave a message as well. Okay. I think if you want, I can leave a first message.
Yeah, I would love to hear it.
Yes, I think everyone should, everyone watching this should take courage into doing exploration on their own personal interests. Everything you're interested in is worth it. It's worth talking about it, and it's worth exploring, because there's probably a lot of people who are interested in the same topic. And you can connect things so easily, and you can start making connections, and those connections are important. They matter a lot. And why these connections are made. So go out there and explore, and I hope Nordic Studies Department will take Kedis into an idea, and hopefully it will be a requirement. So for all the future Nordic Studies majors, don't hate us. hate the system.
Yeah. No, I think that's perfect. I think I'm just gonna ride on your coattails, say and don't take your interests for granted. There's definitely more to them than you think. Because when we started this, it started out as a joke and we weren't really taking it too seriously. But I'm glad Edis was kind of that driving force. It's like, I think we could actually do this, and I was like, okay, let's try and find a way. And you know, you kind of just build and expand off something. It's very beautiful and very, very great thing to do. So stay interested and just uh, have fun with what you're doing. It's the best way to learn.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.